Alright guys, here we're going to talk about Season 4, Episode 3 of The Twilight Zone. So this episode had a couple of twists.
It did!
Where, like, I don't know if it was purposely trying to throw me off in the very beginning, but I was like, does the dog talk? Because he said something like, my friend gave me bad advice as to which blah blah, and then like said like you earned a steak out of nowhere to the guy, and I'm like, oh, he's telepathically talking into his brain.
Well, he's talking to the dog earlier, so
yeah.
I can see it. So I was almost going to say, this is full of twists, and you're like, you call that a twist? That's insulting or something like that. But do these actually qualify as twists to you?
Well, I think it's a misdirect at the very least.
I like the twist. You're the one who's like, I saw it coming. This twist this twist sucks.
What are you talking about? The actual twist?
There's a few. Yeah. Well, okay, yes. Not
or the dog.
not the telepathic talking dog. The actual twist.
Yeah. Well, you knew something good was going to happen, or something good
was going to happen. Period.
And like it was definitely interesting. This one was an episode that lended itself to having that extra time to actually flesh it out and be like a thing. Because if this was only 20 minutes, it would feel so rushed. Because even still, you had a very rushed love interest.
Yes.
They're like, what?
I almost jumped in and said, well, if it was 20 minutes, only one of the two things could have happened. But no, they would have done them all and would have been horrible. Yes.
So the premise of this one is a guy gets lost, ends up in this small town that doesn't want him there, and it turns out they're like future tech people from aliens.
They're in like a future tech cult.
Yeah.
He's like, something's shifty about this or whatever. And he totally mismanages his ability to leave, where he's like, I'm going to tell the whole world. And they're like, that's not good.
Yeah.
And he has to stay there,
And it's a weird town to even be on the path and have accessible anyway. And then at what level is this technology freely available? Because the little girl is just willy-nilly using it. Like at what point does your future tech become so like blasé that it's like a cell phone now? You're like, I shrink or dogs into nowhere. Or
yeah, like to me, like a dematerializer is like giving a kid that age like a gun or something.
Yeah, it is.
But I guess they may not think about it that way. To your point of it's like an iPhone. Kids have iPhones.
Yeah, well,
right. So that's
I needed to know, and I guess they explained it when it first happened. I'm like, and the dog came back. I'm like, where did it go?
Well, so and
it's nowhere.
In my head, I was like, that's not the same dog. He's gonna realize he's gonna start talking to that dog and realize it's not the dog that he knows and loves, and then he's gonna turn back and be like, what did you do to my dog? And he's gonna find their dark secret. That is not the direction that
you are dematerialized and rematerialized.
It like stores you in the little
I wonder how many things can it store at once, because it's good for moving, and I'm like, moving short-term objects or moving across country. You never had to deal with that because you're stuck in this little town.
They mentioned moving furniture or something too, where I'm like, you're so frivolous with your god tech. What's wrong with you?
Well, the god tech is also it's so like laughable because it's like oh I can't remember the wording they use, like oh, we have the molecular imprint of a blah blah blah. Here's a ham sandwich or something. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? The molecular imprint of it? Like it didn't
it's
seem...
really bad.
It wasn't like, oh, that's it, like we have one in cold storage at one point and we can re-replicate that one. It was, we have like this is what the atoms of a ham sandwich are.
Well, it's like
put that piece of paper in.
It's like a punch card that
of an old computer.
They put into the mainframe and it like spits out a thing. Yes, and it's like a ham sandwich on rye with what? It's like some weirdly
detailed. I think there were some chips on that plate. And the plate. Like
chips do materialize. We have a ton of issues here. This is going to take about 2 hours to break down. Because yes, like the Star Trek replicator, it's like I want tea, and it's like here's a cup and a spoon and a little thing, and it makes the whole thing or whatever.
It's a flawless tech. He gets a gun at one point with bullets in it.
Yeah, and like everything's just in like filing cabinets. So I'm like, ham sandwich, is that H or S? I don't know. It's very like it's a weird system.
S for side of chips.
It's a strange system. I would agree with this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it's one of the ones where it just fits whatever it needed to be.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that's fun enough. I love the idea of a thing like that ever existing.
And it's meant to be like, these are the technology, the lengths of which we have, the depth. Good. It's so good here.
And they can do like almost anything, because you can just rewind an individual person's timeline.
Yeah.
And that's very cool.
The temporal shift later. Or whatever it is.
So like they demonstrate that. And the idea that they demonstrate that, like by stabbing somebody, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And like I almost for a second forgot they had the ability to do that, because I'm like, oh, he mows 3 people down in a getaway attempt. I'm like, that's daring for a Twilight Zone of the 60s.
Yeah, and they can just
kind
of
that.
undo it. Yeah, I picture like a secretary like, oh fuck, we practiced for this, everyone's dead, oh god, what do I do? And like rewinding people and bringing them back to life.
It would make for a great movie now with like a John Wickian character who has to kill literally every one of them so that they don't all come back.
Okay.
He's like, dun, 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 and like they have the little phaser guns and he just has to quick draw them.
Shoots it out of his hand.
Yeah. I kind of saw her as a plant.
Okay.
Like to go through the episode more as he eventually tries to escape.
When he says, so it was all a lie, I said out loud, not all of it, and then she was like, not all of it. I'm like, God damn it, this fucking thing, whatever. She like helps him escape, and then before they quite pass the city, they've just passed the city limits. She's like, "Did you look at the book?" And he's like, "No, why?" Ah, shit. And then she's got the thing. I'm like, "Oh no."
I wanted
What happened to love?
where it was like, oh, once it gets past city limits, it just deletes, like
or something.
Because then you could have had they still ended up coming back with the twist thing, but like. You never get a happy ending in the Twilight Zone, so I wanted the like, oh, he got away, but oh, at what price? Well, now like that technology doesn't like exist anymore.
Right. And it's like, well, it's too far from its power source, so everything's set up this way. That's the true limitation of our amazing things. And he goes, no, I broke my glasses, I can't read. It's like that ending, where now the world can't have this.
And like they don't have the ability to fix any of their things now, because like it's like us in the future. We're like, no one knows how to do anything.
No,
we were reliant upon all the people that already knew.
All we did was take this and make it slightly smaller. That's all we've been able to do in the last 104 years. So obviously we're screwed now.
But it was a decent episode. They end up like Men in Blacking him or whatever, so that he just doesn't remember to take him back to that exact moment.
I figured the part we'd be most critical of was like the ending, because they kind of misdirect you in a really weird way to be like it's sort of like this is like death or something. Yeah. And then it's like
they even use the word like we must like eliminate you or.
Well, they say like you will die, but it'll be good for everyone. I trust this is the right solution for the whole. I loved that like mayor of the town guy who's like we were complacent and the whole like rants you would go on. I'm like, that guy's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
it seemed like a lot of that stuff was unnecessary in the first place.
No. So like that's what happens at the end. They're like, okay, we've found a solution. I had to deliberate for days because we don't even have a real death penalty anymore. But now I've figured it out. And the solution is to do like what you should have done like 5 minutes in, and just like put him back and be like, okay, don't fuck up this time and don't act suspicious, so that he can just leave.
That's very weird,
right?
Like you even could have with your future tech just done a whole bunch of goofy shit to someone and been like, you're having a nervous breakdown, like easily.
Yeah, why even engage him in the conversation?
And murder would never even be necessary. Just dematerialize him and don't materialize him again.
Yeah, I wonder.
Then you're not technically killing him. He's in the pocket. He's ready to go.
That's what I thought would happen, was something technology-wise like that, where he's trapped or he's dematerialized.
I thought it was going to be like a cornfield scenario. So like when you get popped out, you're just in a black void or something. Yeah. Because it's weird to think you're just out.
Like when you go inside of a genie's lamp and something. He's just sitting on some cushions in like a tiny little room. And he's like, and then there's a giant man, big eye, like, sorry. And
and there would be a bunch of people in the void. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't disappointed with the episode. I thought it was kind of like, oh, that was handled very, very easily. We're just like, oh, let's just wrap this one up.
No, and I didn't get the whole, like, at the end, Rod Serling comes in to be like, here's what it's about. And he says, this guy still kind of remembers this sometimes when he's about to fall asleep, but otherwise he's fine. See you next week. There was no, like, be careful, lest you...
No.
Maybe you want to know, but you don't want to know, and who's to say?
They could have done a thing like, when you're thinking about those people out in the middle of the boondocks, don't think less of them, because they may, in fact, be smarter than you. Yeah. Like, something like that.
Right? Maybe they're waiting until they think less of you. Oh, shit, no! Like air horns go off, right? But no, it was just kind of a weird, quiet sort of ending that I found unsatisfying.
Yeah, I would have even preferred if they just like we're sentencing you to death, and it's just like a lobotomy thing, because like we do need breeding stock. There's only so many of us.
Disgusting.
There may only be like one lady in the whole town.
They only have the budget to show us one. Yeah. I don't know how much of a town there is though.
There's a little girl, so we know like somebody's breeding.
She'll grow up eventually.
But I meant something had to have happened to make her there, because they've been there for who knows how long, how many generations, because they only had the highest tech they could replicate was a typewriter, because that's what was around, I imagine, the 10 years prior when the last newspaper came to town.
Yeah, they don't know anything. It's such a weird
Very
thing.
Strange too, because when you say like, oh, because they alluded to it's like generations have been like behind this thing, but they had a newspaper from 10 years ago or 11 years ago, depending on exactly when this was filmed.
Are they leading expeditions? Is something happening?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Or did that come through on someone else's, like, oh, the guy drove through with that.
Yeah.
Got that.
Exactly. There's a lot you could do with this. There's a lot you could like delve into with the whole thing.
This is like the town of Eureka. There was a TV show on Sci-Fi with like smart, super advanced people and a sheriff from normal times takes over.
I saw commercials for that before we stopped seeing commercials. Was the show good?
It was decent.
And it's like this, where he's like,
It reminds me of
you
this.
people are crazy. He's fine. The atoms just have to get rearranged.
Like everyone's mental level intelligent and he's just a normal guy.
He's like, what the fuck? Yeah.
Yeah. But this episode was okay.
No, I thought it was fine. I thought it was like worth seeing. It's got a nice little thing you can walk around with after the fact and be like, that was weird.
I did think the one part made me laugh where he said, he's like, you have two choices. One, you're gonna like, become one of us or something and live the rest of your life here, or two, you're gonna die here. And I was like, either way, he'd be living the rest of his life there.
That's true. And I love that he picks, fuck you. I'm telling everyone, if you give me even 1 inch, I'm going all the way, bitch. And they're like, well, obviously we have to lock you up.
I guess we don't give you 1 inch.
I guess, never mind, you have one option. Or the highlight of the episode for me was somebody says something like, well, the ends justify the means, or this is the way it has to be. And he goes, well, excuse me, Adolf Hitler. He just goes into his thing. I was like, that's amazing.
Best effect for me was when the dog was up on the force field. I was like, what is that, just a large piece of glass? Like, how'd they do that?
When he smashes something with a shovel, like a little piece of shit like flies and hits it, I think. I didn't like rewind or whatever, but I was like, I think
thought that was done, but I don't know. He had like a shovel or some shit, and he swung it, and I assumed that it was just like it was like already pre-broke, and it was on like a rope, so when he swung it just snapped right there, but I didn't look at it too carefully. But the dog was clearly on something.
Yeah, I thought I saw something, but like, is it just half the height? Is it the whole height? Is it close to the camera?
I don't know.
Is it a small dog?
Didn't notice it like you do notice some of the other effects.
Exactly.
So at least it was that good.
So things are good.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's our thoughts on this episode of Twilight Zone. Let us know in the comments what you thought about it. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next time.
Hello, internets. I just love watching JustDaggers. If you've enjoyed this video as much as I have, click that subscribe button. Peace out, homies.